What is up, everybody? Welcome back here for another episode of Dolphins versus the World. And as always, we're joined by the man behind the camera, our producer, Joel, and my co-host, Anthony, is with me again. Anthony, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good, man. Sweeping the Patriots. Man, get out the brooms. No, yeah, I feel good, man. Swept the Patriots 6-2. Big game coming up this week. Unfortunately, we have to wake up at crack of dawn to watch it, but hey, here we are.
Yeah, no complaints from me either. It's gonna get to the point though where eventually the Dolphins are to the Patriots what the Chiefs are to the Broncos. Shout out to the Broncos for getting their first win against the Chiefs in 16 tries. So if we could get all the way there with the Patriots, that'd be awesome. But yeah, just a great another dominating win against the Patriots, and then a lot to look forward to. But yeah, great Dolphins game overall.
Yeah, I unfortunately didn't get to watch a lot of it because I had work and stuff that was specific to this weekend, so I wasn't able to watch all of it. But I went and rewatched like the condensed replay afterwards, obviously knowing the final outcome. But yeah, it was just like I mean, it's kind of crazy if you think about Chase, like, you know, we're both like younger, so we haven't been fans for like this, like 30, 40 years. But, you know, it wasn't long ago when, you know, we were just hoping, at least me, when it was Patriots week, you know, I was hoping that, man, if we can just pull like a last second, like field goal to win the game, like that'll be awesome. And I'm sitting here and like, we beat them by 14 points. We scored 31, which hats off to you because that was actually the fourth time in 16 seasons. And I did not think they'd score above 30. I went with the analytics route, and that was stupid of me. I should have just gone with my heart. But I tried to be smart about it and have all the stats. But like we won by 14 points, and 10 of the Patriots points came off of just like stupid decisions, like the pass from Tua. Okay, it was just a stupid mistake. And then a weird handoff. And that was 10 of the Patriots points. But like, I mean, we have a lot to talk about in this game. Jalen Ramsey, the addition, the defense is playing much better. So yeah, I blame, personally, I saw a lot of Patriots fans upset. I blame the Bills because they gave Patriots fans hope because they lost to them. So like Patriots fans were sitting there like, oh my God, are we like a good team? It's like, no, you still suck this year. Or I shouldn't say suck. That's harsh. I have respect for the Patriots. You're still not a good team and you're not on the Dolphins level. But yeah, it continues to amaze me how we lost to the Bills. But anyway, yeah, it was just a really impressive victory. Again, nothing like super flashy other than that one Tyreek Hill bomb. But it was just like, again, a methodical ass whooping for just 4 quarters.
Yeah, it was awesome. And like you said, there was a time where the Dolphin season came down to like beating the Patriots, and that was the most excitement we'd have all season. But definitely feels like times are different, and that team has a lot of problems. Let's just hope there isn't enough problems where they end up drafting one of the best quarterbacks in recent memory in this draft. But he might not even go first also, which is crazy just because of how nutty everything's been with Caleb Williams. But that's not what we're talking about. We're just here to talk about how, like you said, methodical and just picture perfect that game was. And it kind of felt like at the start that there may have been some just kind of what I said, like they weren't focused on the game. They were looking ahead to Germany.
Right.
That's at least kind of what I felt. But then after that, the Patriots offense didn't score again. Besides a scored touchdown again until the fourth quarter. So the defense really like had stringing together some good weeks here, which is positive. And that was partially because of Jalen Ramsey having a big red zone turnover, but or near red zone. But yeah, I mean, the defense is, I think, getting better, which is encouraging. That was kind of my overall picture taken away with now 2 or 3 good performances in a row, I think, here.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love that we're starting off with the defense because quite honestly, I think that, you know, I I always knew that when Jalen Ramsey came back, that obviously it would make us better. You'd be an idiot almost to not think that it's going to make a huge impact. But like when I knew Xavier wasn't playing, which quite honestly, like once I knew Jalen was playing, I felt, because remember how you and I were like, we don't need Jalen for this game. So I kind of felt that way about X. Like everyone was freaking out. I was like, if we have Jalen, I don't care. We need one of them, right? This isn't like we're not playing like, Appalachian State or something, right? This is like a professional football team. It's the Patriots, right? So like once I knew he was going out and stuff, I felt like, okay, like we have Jalen back, but how much of an impact is he going to have if X isn't out there? And like, man, I mean, just like I was shocked, to be honest with you, at how, I don't know how you felt, but like I thought he would be good. But like in your first game back, it's like you already have an interception, which clearly you can see he's fine in this scheme, right? Like this is good for him. But like even the physicality he played with, if you go look at like he forced that fumble, even on the interception, I was worried like how's he gonna cut in and out of like breaks and stuff. And on that interception, like he makes a significant cut. And like to me, that was the biggest thing I was worried about. And he just played such a fantastic game. And I thought overall this defense just looked really good. Like our defensive line is really showing up. Jalen Phillips is popping off the screen to me. You and I had both respectfully been like, we love Jalen Phillips, but come on, man, like let's not act like we're so far, even when he's been on the field, that he's been God knows what. He is popping off the screen. Bradley Chubb is popping off the screen. And then I think the biggest story, quite honestly, for the Dolphins has been, I don't think it's a surprise that the last 4 games have been David Long and Jerome Baker's best games, and we have had success on defense. I've said this, and I will continue to say it, and I'll say it for the trade deadline. Linebacker is so important on this defense in this scheme. And if you can get good play out of David Long and Jerome Baker in the run game and the pass game, man, that's going to help out a lot. And hats off to them for only allowing 17 points, 10 of those coming on, inside the 30 field positions for the Patriots.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. For me, I did not think Jalen Ramsey would have this big of an impact right off the bat. I thought it might take him a couple of weeks just because of the injury and how quick the turnaround was. I thought maybe there'd be some rust, but I mean, wow, like you said, you just felt like he was on the field the entire game. Like the Dolphins have needed a playmaker this year, other than Andrew Van Ginkel the first only 2 or 3 weeks, and then he's went away. So they need a playmaker bad. And what was also just crazy to me, which is going to be a theme every week here, is just how much respect he commands from like the other team's offensive playmaker. Like they only would throw his way a handful of times, and then one of those was an interception. So that's only going to continue. And that really helps when you basically know, if you're a safety, whoever, that the ball's going to go over there, 80, 90% of the time, just because of how much respect that other quarterbacks give him. And yeah, that's just going to be big for this defense, if they can know what's happening, or if the ball is going to get to Ramsey, the looks over there, then the quarterback's going to hold the ball longer, more pressure for the D-line, just the effect's going to spiral in. So look, the defense, I was optimistic before the season. And then once the season started, I was pretty pessimistic. I was like, well, this could hold us back. But truth be told, with any team in any sport, you got to look at the whole thing when we are healthy and we're adjusted. How do we look? And I'm optimistic it could be pretty good, at least average.
No, yeah, I'm optimistic that, I mean, I think it's going to be really good, quite honestly. Like I've been really happy. Obviously the first couple of weeks were shaky for sure, to say the least. But like, I mean, how can you, I understand it was the Patriots, right? But like, this is the team that just beat the Buffalo Bills and they kicked our ass. So, I'm not sitting here, I know I was joking about the Patriots, but like at the end of the day, holding an opponent to 17 points, like you can't take that for granted, 10 of which came on short fields. And we both said that after the Eagles game too. Like, I know you gave up 31 points, but like the eye test is like, oh, they like are popping. They look better. They look physical. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I watch this team and they don't just look like passive, just like they look aggressive. Like they look like they're like trying to kill people out there. And we need that fire. And I don't know how you cannot be excited with the fact that your defense did that. And you don't like imagine what's going to happen when you have X out there now. And the other guy is an Eli Apple who's even been playing better, right? Deshaun Elliott has looked really good, like really good. So man, I mean, what this defense could be is special. I still think that there's a couple things we could do in I don't know if we'll trade for anyone. There's a couple things we could do. But I mean, you look at the offense.
Talk about that real quick, just before we go to something else. Like, do you think they'll trade for anyone? And if so, who would you trade for? I really haven't thought too much about it, just because I think defensively they're going to look at it and be like, well, we're getting healthy again. We're getting our guys back. We got to know what we are now before we make any aggressive moves. I think more so offensively is where a move could be made, specifically on the offensive line, depending on the health situation of some guys, because I think, as you can see, with McDaniel and Tua and the O-line coach escaping, it's Butchberry, correct?
Butchberry, yeah.
Yep. I didn't want to get it wrong there, but what they're doing with these O-linemen who haven't been, stellar guys ever their whole career, they've been respectable. But if they were stellar, they'd be starting somewhere else, with Kendall Lamb, and then Isaiah Wynn, who was brought in as a depth piece, but then has now been a starter. So I think maybe they could go for O-line because those guys are also cheap. They're not eating up a ton of cap, so you have room to do stuff. Yeah. So I think that would be where they look, interior specifically. But yeah, what do you think as far as trade?
I didn't even like. I forgot that the trade deadline was like tomorrow. For some reason, I thought it was the 8th, so I thought it was next Tuesday. And I feel like last year, wasn't it, or has it always been? I don't know. For some reason, I thought it was.
This year, I think we're having too much fun. This year is just flying by.
Right. I was like, man, it's already here.
Miserable already.
Right. Like, I don't know what to think about the trade deadline because, we can sit here and we can talk about all like these players that we'd love the Dolphins to get. You have to think about it from two sides. Why would a team give you that player? And like, I'm trying to think of players I would want. Obviously, people are going to mention Aaron Donald, and I would love Aaron Donald. That's not going to happen because what are you going to give the Rams in return? And they're actually like good this year. They're comparatively to what we thought they were going to be. A guy that I would really, really love just because I'm obsessed with linebacker on this unit and like upgrading it would be Levante David, but I don't think that would happen. And the Buccaneers are another team where it's like the NFC South is weak. Why would we trade a good player like that? But I think that if you're going to go really at any position, I don't look at this team and think, aside from maybe linebacker, you need any starters, which I think is a good position to be in because at the trade deadline, it's going to be really hard for you to get really good players for good value because, a lot of good players right now, like what good offensive linemen are you going to get right now? Like even I see people that are like, well, you could get this good offensive lineman because it's on a bad team. Just because they're bad this year doesn't mean they're just going to trade away. Like Laramie Tunsil was a unicorn type of thing. Normally you don't trade like really good offensive linemen, even if you suck, because eventually you're hoping to not suck. And they are a big reason or a big contributing factor to helping you get there. But like I look at, like the Broncos, the Bears, the Saints, and I say, maybe there's some depth on offensive line that we could, go for. Defensive tackle, there's a plethora of guys everywhere in the NFL. But really, my main concern, like you, would be offensive line just because of all the injuries now. I know guys have been playing well, which is just shocking to me. I'm like waiting for the day where it's like we suck on the offensive line. Like I think we all are. And it happened kind of against the Eagles, but it's like, I don't know what you wanted when you're down half your offensive line and it's the greatest defensive line maybe in the last like 10, 15 years. But yeah, that would be the only area I would be like, that makes sense realistically, would be like depth on the offensive line.
Yeah, as far as the offensive line goes, it's funny you say that because I was talking with my dad about that. It was just like, I can't believe like how good the offensive line has been for this many injuries. Like if this was any other year, there'd be like just every play would be blown up, a sack. Like with how many guys are injured on the O line, like 3 sacks in the Eagles game, I believe is what it was, like is a miracle. Like if that was past Dolphins teams, they'd be like the numbers that the Seahawks were putting up against the Giants, where it was like franchise record sacks.
Right.
Like that's why I'm just stunned at how well the O-line has been this year. And it's like guys keep going down, but the drop off, like it's outside of that first Liam Eichenberg start, the drop off at positions has not been like noticeable, in my opinion. Yeah, for the O-line.
No, I agree. And even Liam Eichenberg, like I'll say, like I worry honestly about when Connor comes back. Like Liam Eichenberg doesn't look as bad at center as he does at left guard. Now, who knows? I've never seen Liam Eichenberg play left guard with this coaching staff because they seem to just have a magic touch on everything where, we're not like the Eagles, but like we're sitting here realistically having to talk about like Austin Jackson getting a contract extension. Yeah. Never thought I'd say those words, at least for the Dolphins, but he's playing like really well. It's not even like, oh, he's like been okay. Like, no. He's like our best offensive lineman when Connor's not on the field. Like really well. He had 42 snaps yesterday, 0 sacks, 0 pressures. And the tape backs it up. Yeah. So, who knows? I worry like what Liam's going to look like at left guard because of the injury with Isaiah Wynn. Hopefully, Robert Jones can take that over, but obviously Robert Hunt got injured. Who knows what that's going to be? Teron, I know, is going to come back soon. I don't know about you, but we both said that Javon probably wasn't going to play with concussion. We were right on that. Teron, I don't think will play, even though he's eligible. I think they'll just be like, Connor is important. Kendall's playing well. If we can get Connor back, that helps a lot. And then let's rest Teron. We can use an extra week as like a fake extra week of rest, even though it's a bye week. So you don't really have to use it towards your IR. And so, we'll see what happens when this offensive line comes back. But anyway, the trade deadline, it'd be nice to just get a little bit of depth in here because, it's so far hasn't been a huge issue, but I worry that it could be.
Yeah. And that really stink if something like that's a depth issue, which is solvable. I mean, you're not going to go find the best players now, but you could get serviceable backups. Like there's a few teams that I was looking at who are like 1-7, 2-5. There's only a handful. So I don't think there's going to be too many sellers, which is, like you said, like part of the issue. But as far as injuries, I'm leaning towards agreeing with you on Teron not playing, unfortunately. But even if he does, like he's going to give us 2 drives and then go back on the IR. But
right,
we'll see. He did travel with them, so I don't know. We'll see. I wouldn't be shocked if he called his own number, but just because of how big the game is. But I don't think he'll play. Robert Hunt, I haven't seen too much, but I heard that it's going to be okay that he could even play this week, and I think he goes this week. I'd be curious what you think about that. And then the last thing I was just going to say is theoretically Connor Williams has played guard before. I don't know what they would think about that in this offense, just because I think part of the reason Connor's a center is because he's so good at pulling, and they like to have their center pulling in the style of offense with just how creative it is. So that's the only thing. And then, we could talk about any more of the game or the Chiefs game, because I do want to talk about that, what we saw this week from the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, with the we'll see what happens with the offensive line. I'm hoping this is the game we've been preparing for. This is why you're resting people. It's for this game. Um, both teams are 6-2. Both teams are 4-1 in the conference. Both teams are 2-1 in the division. So this is like this is not the Eagles game where it's like it's a measuring stick test, but it's like not. It's like, yeah, it's obviously you want to win those games, but like this is like actually a big game, which is weird that it's in Germany. But I expect if people are able to go, aside from Tehran, and the only reason because of that is because his backup's playing so well. If it weren't for that, I think he could probably play. Um, but yeah, this offensive line is just, if it continues to play the way it is, I mean, for comparison, the Dolphins right now are giving up like 1.3 sacks a game. We're the third least sacked team in the NFL, right behind the Bucks and the Chiefs. So, like, the most sacked team right now are the Giants and Commanders at 41. um, which like is, I mean, for comparison, that's 5 sacks a game they're averaging. The Dolphins are at 1.35. So we are on a very good pace right now. Two is on pace to only get sacked like 23 times this season, which is awesome. There's some teams right now, again, I just mentioned two. There's a lot of teams like the Jets. Jets have already given up 24 sacks, and two is on pace to have 23 the whole season. So this offensive line, if it continues playing the right way, we're going to be in good shoes or good shape. But just finishing up the offense with the Patriots game. I mean, it was kind of just like it was the first game for me personally where I like looked at two and I was like, damn, like with against Bill Belichick. Like every game that two has played against Bill Belichick, I was like, good game, good game. But like this one, even though it wasn't, like the Chargers game or the Broncos game, like 30 for 45, 324 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception against Bill Belichick. Like, damn. That was just impressive to me because, I didn't see that coming. Tyreek looked like Tyreek. Okay, I have to say this before I pass it on to you. What did I say about Jalen Waddle last episode? I said, y'all have to get Jalen Waddle more involved. For the love of God, like he's there. He's really good. Stop just throwing it to Tyreek. And I thought that in the very beginning of the game, they were pressing. They were trying to find Tyreek. He throws the interception. And from that point on, it was, oh, wait, like we actually can use Waddle. And he ends up being our leading wide receiver. And he has like 7 catches for $120. Like this offense is borderline unstoppable if both guys are going and if both guys are getting the ball thrown to them. And I think that that's really why two has had so much success against Bill Belichick, is because typically when he plays Bill Belichick, he does distribute the ball because he's forced to, because Tyreek is taken away. Now, Tyreek obviously wasn't taken away in this game, but I loved that they featured Waddle more. And they didn't run the football super well, but also when they needed to, they did. And that was big for me.
Yeah, it was impressive. Another kudos to Tua. Like when you were talking about the sacks, sacks are just as much a QB thing and a scheme thing. So all credit to Tua and Mike McDaniel. Honestly, it's just so incredible to watch. To think of when we came from Ryan Tannehill, Fitzpatrick, and even worse than them at some points, and now we have the most innovative stuff in the football world. Just awesome. But yeah, so talking about the Chiefs game real quick. I think it's going to be an interesting spot. I just in general. If you didn't catch any of the Chiefs Broncos game last week, they didn't look that great. The Chiefs, they obviously lost. So that'll tell you all you really need to know. But Patrick Mahomes apparently had the flu. So that's just kind of, something to keep an eye on. I think I'll probably be gone by the next game, but that's just sort of, I think you may be able to just chalk up last week as him having the flu. So we'll see. They've been playing pretty good defensively just all season. I think that's another sneaky thing about the Chiefs. When you think of them as a whole, you just think of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, but quietly their defense has been fantastic over the course, probably since the last 5-6 games of last season and the start of this year. Their defense has had to step up because their offense is kind of struggling. It's very like the Dolphins, Travis Kelce centric. But I think that's more because the receivers just aren't very good and they drop it a lot. It's not the same with the Dolphins where it's just Tyreek Hill's so good. He's always open. So that's why it's Tyreek Hill focused. But yeah, I mean, basically big picture, if you could stop Travis Kelce and get the ball distributed, it's going to be a winnable game, especially with the travel advantage and maybe the health advantages for the Dolphins here on the injury front and sickness front.
Yeah, I want to talk real quick about the travel because I put a tweet about this and I wanted to explain it. So I don't know about you, like with away games, to me, I think that the thing that's so tricky about away games, other than obviously playing in someone else's stadium, is more so, can you replicate your day-to-day success in a different environment? I don't think it's the travel. Like these guys don't have to deal with airports like we do. They don't have to go through these like they get dropped off right near the plane. They walk private plane, good food, taking care of, like they're fine. And even the time zone changed. Like I love that the Dolphins are going out there early because I've said this before. I'm really invested in like sleep. I think it's really important for everyone out there. And I'm not trying to turn this into like a health podcast. It's super important for people. And I was reading a book, and it's called Why We Sleep. It's a phenomenal book. You should definitely check it out. And in it, he talks about Matthew Walker, who wrote the book, talks about how when you travel, it takes as many days to acclimate to the new time zone as hour difference. So the Dolphins are 5 hours behind Germany time. So if they travel today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the game is on Sunday. So they'll be acclimated to the time. And even 5 hours, it's not that much difference. Like when we traveled to LA the first week, that was 3, right? But can you replicate that day-to-day success when you're in a new country? And I love that they're heading out early because you get the jitters out early. Oh, let's go see this. Let's go see that. Let's go try this. We're in a new state or a new country. So they get that out of the way and then they can just focus on football. So I love that. But yeah, in regards to the game, like this is a big game. You know, the Kansas City Chiefs have quietly been okay on offense. I think because they have Mahomes, who in my opinion is like probably one of the greatest quarterbacks, if not the greatest I've ever seen with my 2 eyes. Because of that, we always, every win, we're like, oh, it's the Chiefs. But like they played the Bears and scored 41, which I'm not here to say that's not nothing because we saw people say that about the Dolphins with the Broncos, and here we are. But like the Detroit Lions, they scored 20. The Jags, they scored 9. The Jets, they scored 23. The Jags, they scored 17. The Jets, they scored 23. The Vikings, they scored 27. The Broncos, the first time they scored 19. And then the Chargers, who, I mean, we've seen, aside from when they played the Bears yesterday, they just don't have a good defense. They scored 31. And then last night they scored 9. So, you know, this isn't a team that's going out there like the Dolphins and lighting up the scoreboard. I love that you mentioned the defense because the defense is the reason they're 6-2. The defense has been the better unit of the two. And that's weird to say because they have Patrick Mahomes. But, this is just going to be a huge game because I think that ultimately this is going to come down to, can the Dolphins offense play well against the Chiefs defense, because they've been really good this year. Chris Jones is awesome. Spags, their defensive coordinator, is great. Like one of the most underrated defensive coordinators in the NFL. So this is going to be a big game for Tua. Right or wrong, he is going to be compared to Patrick Mahomes in this game. even though he doesn't play Patrick Mahomes, he plays the defense. This is a big game for him. How do you show up? How do you play against Patrick Mahomes? Because I'll do this and I'll pass it over to you. Unfortunately, the Dolphins are really good. And I say unfortunately because when the Chiefs play good teams, they play good. They play well. The Chiefs are the epitome of play down to your opponent. Most of the times they get away with it. Sometimes they don't. But unfortunately, the Dolphins are really good. And I fear that this is one of those games where they're going to come out and just like go crazy. And if we were to win, it's going to be like a shootout. I don't see the Chiefs going out there and playing sloppy. No, like, are you kidding me? Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid playing against Tyreek Hill again? Like, no, this has shootout written all over it. And so my thing going into this week is if Tua, Tyreek, and Jalen aren't on their A game, I could see us definitely losing. But both teams are going to be on their, what? They're going to be on their shit, right? Going into this game because this is a big one.
Yeah, it is certainly a big one. And I'll just circle back to a couple of things. Great guest on Joe Rogan, Matthew Walker. If you want to check out without doing a book, just get a little preview. Great guest. He was awesome on that. And then
so you've seen him?
I've seen him before. Yeah. I was thinking it was who you were talking about because I've heard him talk about it, and I was like, "Is this who I'm thinking of?" And then so I just looked up a quick picture. Yeah. He's been on Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. The book Why We Sleep, it's phenomenal. It's one of the best books I've ever read.
Yeah, and then I think what you were saying is totally right. Like, it's not the travel playing away. Like, more and more as time has gone on, this isn't college anymore. Like, most of these guys have played in big stadiums. They played in stadiums with 80,000 people. They've traveled around before in football situations, and it's great. The difference is the distractions. Like, you go to a new location, there's stuff to do, there's places to go eat. Maybe some people who you grow up with are in town, like, stuff like that. People are texting you for tickets. They're visiting, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then God knows for this, there's going to be so many distractions. Not only of going across the pond over to Germany, but the media is going to be just outrageous. They're going to have to do so many press stunts at different times. Like, that's the draining part. And that's why I feel like some of these games over there have just been so bad because it's a bunch of guys who haven't had to do media all the time. Like, they're going to, if someone over in Germany can get Blake Ferguson to do a media circuit, he's going to go do it and be happy. Like, that's just how it is. The Dolphins being over there first, I think this is really smart. I think there's plenty of examples now. We have a big enough sample size in the NFL teams going across to Europe that getting out there early makes a big difference. Not only in the quality of play, but just like the teams that have gone early have been winning. It's kind of how it just seems to go. Whether that's correlated or not, we can't say for sure yet, but there's obviously going to be examples in there. The Jags have gone over a lot, so they're not very good. So they're probably skewing the stats. But yeah, look, this is a big game. There's no doubt about it. Everyone on the Dolphins know it. If you just look at the AFC right now, I just did this quick exercise. It kind of feels like there's 7 playoff teams, barring a catastrophic injury, that are pretty much, I want to say, set. I think that the Dolphins and the Bills, I think you could pencil them in the playoffs. The Chiefs you can pencil in. The Ravens you can pencil in. The Jags you can pencil in. And the Bengals. I think those are teams that are definitely in the playoffs. The Bengals did get off to a rough start, but look, they are clicking on all cylinders right now. Was that 6? Did I only give 6 there?
No, I'm counting because you were mentioning them, and I was like, that sounds like everyone to me that I could think of. That's why I was counting. You said Dolphins, Bills, Chiefs, Bengals, Ravens, Jags, and then there'll be one more team. So
yeah, I think
I don't know.
Between the Jets, the Browns, and the Steelers, I think that's maybe the Chargers. I don't know. I haven't liked what I've seen out of the Chargers, but I think those are the teams in the mix for the last game. I don't see where any of those teams, like 3 of those teams finish 10-6. So then someone 10-6 gets left out.
Right.
And all the teams I listed, I think easily win 10 games. So yeah, I kind of feel like at this point, like this is a game you got to look at as far as seeding goes. And I don't know if the Chiefs do care about home field. I'd like to think they do. I know the Dolphins certainly care because they haven't been there. But yeah, going to Arrowhead has been brutal to play off in the playoffs. It's made the difference for them, so they should care about home field. But
yeah,
look, if you want to be the 1 seed, you got to win this game. That shouldn't be the goal, being the 1 seed, but it certainly helps if on the quest to the Super Bowl, having every game at home. So
I think it's the goal. It would be the goal for me. Obviously, it's not the end all because you have to still win the game. But for me, that's my goal is get the 1 seed, get a bye week. That's the highest you can achieve, and then you go from there.
Yeah. I think it should be, obviously, and they know it. And we'll see. Like you said, the Chiefs, they get up for these games. Like these are the games where they remind the league how good they are.
100%.
I said it last week. Andy Reid breaks out the good plays. You'll be seeing some creative stuff from both guys this game. I'm sure Andy Reid probably wants to prove, like everyone's talking about Mike McDaniel, how he's this genius. It's so innovative. He's like, really? Well, like you see my ring around the rosy? Like that was just a preview of what we can actually do here.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be fireworks. I don't know if I could see it being a shootout as convincingly as you do. I think there's a lot of ways where it leads to one, but just sort of the way most of these international games are, where they're like sleepy, like the teams don't look completely fresh. That would be my only concern with saying that this is a no doubt shootout, because I could see there being some, tired legs and everything just from the travel of this spot. And the crowd's going to be awesome too. So it'll be a good crowd. It'll be a different, unique crowd. Not the typical NFL home crowd for one of these games. So it's going to be a unique, fun experience. And hopefully both teams can deliver, because I know those people have been desperate for like a game like this over there. If you're a real NFL fan and over there, this is like a dream come true for you. Two top teams with the best offenses going at it.
This is the Super Bowl for them. Like, I know it's an AFC championship, but like, I'm jealous. I'm like, this game should be on Sunday Night Football. Like it's borderline. Like I'm pissed a little. I laugh about it, but like I am, because I'm happy because, they chose 2 exciting offenses. I don't really think there's 2 better teams to represent the NFL just of where it's going. 2 quarterbacks that are just great on and off the field are just great role models for the NFL. 2 great offensive coordinators, and great offensive minds. So yeah, this is definitely going to be a good game. I was actually just looking up. I didn't know this. The Chiefs are traveling on Thursday to London. I keep saying London. Why are we playing in Germany? But it's London. It's not London. It's Germany.
It is, right?
Right. It's habit.
This first game over in Germany.
Right. So they're flying over on Thursday. Again, at the end of the day, they'll be ready to play, with, modern day sign, like they'll be fine. But, the Dolphins are essentially going to have 3 full days more than the Chiefs in Germany, which we'll see how that works out. It's a new thing. And if it works, I think a lot more teams are going to copy it. But yeah, man, this is a huge game. And honestly, thinking about it, I get like goosebumps kind of thinking about like Javon will be back. X will be back. There's no doubt in my mind. Like X was ready to play against the Eagles. He's been good to go for the last 2 weeks. So is Connor. Connor's been good to go for 3 weeks, honestly. So they're both going to be playing. Jalen's going to be there. Javon's going to be there. Everyone's going to be there. The only player that probably won't play is Tehran, and it's not because Tehran isn't ready. It's because they are like, hey, like, we really just don't want you to get injured again, so, like, let's not rush you out. Not that it was his fault he got injured last time. I mean, Liam Eichenberg knocked a guy into his knee. That's really not Teron's fault. Yeah, I mean, this is gonna be an exciting game. I'm trying to think. Devon Achane isn't back till after the bye week, right? Yeah, he's not back till after the bye week.
But he's not even eligible. Yeah.
Right. So he's the player where he'll be back after the bye week. I mean, I was a little shocked he went on IR because he was telling people apparently privately that like no, like I could go tomorrow. Like I don't know why, but he's very important. So this is going to be a huge game. I can't wait for it. I don't know what's going to happen. And then on top of it, just leading into the last thing that I personally have, I don't really have anything more because we'll save the rest of it for next time. But the Dolphins are going on Hard Knocks, which I'm not really sure how to feel about it because part of me, I definitely understand that I don't know as much as NFL players and a lot of people. And the vibe and the gist from all the players is what the, they're pissed off. For me as a fan, I'm excited because I've wanted this for 2 years now. I've wanted the Dolphins to be on Hard Knocks because are you kidding me? Tyreek Hill and Mike, I want to see what these guys are like. I want to, I know Tua is pretty pissed because he's pretty reserved. No, yeah, our producer just said I don't think Tua wants to be on there either, and he definitely doesn't. I apparently heard X is pretty PO'd that he has to be on there because he doesn't want to be. But I mean, as a Dolphins fan, I hope it's not a distraction. I don't really think it will because, I don't know. It's just don't let it. You know what I mean? It's just don't let it be a distraction. I don't know. It's they're not going to film everything. And also you have an easier schedule. But man, I'm excited. I want to see what Tua is like in practice. I want to see what's Tyreek Hill really like in meetings. What's Mike McDaniel like when he's not giving a post game. I'm excited to see that stuff. So I think that starts next week.
Yeah, I think the bye week. I know it's not this week. So
no. Yeah, it starts next week. I don't know if it's when the episodes release on HBO Max. I don't know if it's during the bye week or it's just they'll start filming during the bye week. But within the next week or two, we'll be getting stuff for Hard Knocks, and that for me is exciting. I just hope it's not a distraction, but I also think there's too many guys that know what they're doing on this team to let it. I don't think Tua and Jalen and X and Tyreek, they're not going to let that. I don't think they'll let that be a distraction.
Yeah, I definitely think that they're entertaining. There's no, I get why they chose the Dolphins. But yeah, I think for some players it probably could be hard. I mean, I know me, I wouldn't like if someone had a camera in my face while at work. But I'm also a lot less entertaining and everything. But yeah, I mean, just for those guys, I think it's what you make it. If you think it could be a distraction, then I feel like you're going to be distracted by it. But if you don't care, if you're Tyreek and don't like the camera being on you, you probably are enjoying it. You'll love it. There's no way any bad content's going to come out about this. It's going to be really interesting and definitely entertaining. I think it'll be a lot of clips circulating everywhere about it. I'd be curious to see what happens, especially with this game. Let's just say hypothetically they go out and lose to the Chiefs, in a sort of convincing manner. Then the negativity coming there, the narrative, that'll be in the general media. It's going to be certainly interesting no matter what happens. To watch this team just go through the rest of the season battling. It's going to be fun.
Did you see what, I don't know if you saw this, you probably didn't, but on the All Dolphins podcast with Omar Kelly and Alan Pupar, Omar kind of hinted, and it was a conspiracy theory, I guess, that the Dolphins were we don't want to do Hard Knocks. And obviously it's the NFL trying to push them to. And they kept saying, we don't want to do Hard Knocks. And so last week against the Eagles was kind of are you sure? You don't want to do it? Yeah, I don't think it's true, but it was just funny because he was like, are you sure? And now that we agreed to do Hard Knocks, then it kind of flipped against the Patriots. There was definitely some bad calls against the Patriots that we got lucky with. It didn't, like the Eagles game, it didn't impact it, and it wasn't nearly as egregious. But it was definitely not the greatest officiating against the Patriots for sure. I'm just going to call it as it is. But anyway, we don't need to talk about that. That's all I have.
Yeah. I think that's That's about it here for me too. I mean, we'll just we'll be back here to preview this game. I mean, it's a big time game. Zero again, like the Bills game. These are the ones you play. You're a fan for. These are the ones you got to get excited about. And hoping for the best here. But from us at Dolphins versus the World, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you everyone for watching. Please like, share, comment, subscribe,
Yes.
all that good stuff. From me, Anthony and Joel, thank you everyone for watching. Fins up, go Dolphins.